What is up there, everybody? Citrus Aviation here for yet another video. It is time for the Model Aircraft News monthly video. We're going to talk about a bunch of interesting things that have been happening in the industry. Gemini Jets President Elliott recently did an interview with Airliners Live, and I'm going to react to certain parts about the interview, and I'll put up my thoughts about the video up here, and then also I'll have the link below if you want to watch the full interview in the description.
Sure. Well, I started Gemini at the end of 1998, so we're celebrating our 25th anniversary this year. This month we've got a lot of new, very interesting tools that have come out that people have been waiting for. The 1/200 scale Antonov 225, which has been a big hit. We've got the C5 Galaxy.
Of course, at the beginning of the interview, they talk about some new molds they come out with, the 200 scale 225 and the C5M Galaxy, both really exciting. And I did get the 225, and at some point I'd like to get the C5M Galaxy, but it's quite expensive. This video, by the way, is published on May 11th, 2023, so those models had just come out, and my my unboxing of the 225 had just come out too. Really exciting model.
Also a 1/200 scale. And next month we're having the Antonov 124 coming out in 200 scale.
And that did come out. That model did come out.
And you know, we research things. If we don't know, we really take the time to research, and we don't rush to get them out on the market. We try to make sure the colors are right, the liveries are correct, the antennas for that specific registered models and the window placement matches that. Where a lot of our competition, they kind of just throw it out there, and there are errors on the models. They're nice models, but they don't go to the research levels that we do with our model.
This is something I will say about Gemini Jets that I do appreciate, is that they do focus on getting a lot of details right. They don't always, which people have talked about, but like a lot of like the details parts of the model, like as they mentioned, the correct antennas. I love how in some of the models, there are some United aircraft and some Delta aircraft that they'll have like separate colored antennas, like some of them are yellow, or some of them are white with red stripes, and they'll put those on there, or they'll put the correct window placement, because some airlines configure their cabins differently. Those nice details are things I like seeing on the Gemini Jets models, and that is something they do a really good job of.
Nice.
And some of their competitors haven't always done that, although I will say, there's one brand out there that does focus on the details, like Gemini Jets. And Moulds, you're doing a good job of that. But Gemini Jets, they're known for doing that, and that is one thing I will say that they've done a great job of.
Our first release was 4 models. It was an Air China 747-400, a United 747-400, and 2 Virgin Atlantic 747-400. So those were the first 4 models, and we put them out at the same time.
Those are some cool models, those first 4 models. And the reason they did 7.4s is that was the only mold they had, the 747-400. Really cool models. They made a lot of 747-400s at first. And some of those models are kind of easy to find. I would like to pick some of them up at some point. The Air China 7.4 for a long time was a really easy model to find until recently. But I'd love to pick up one of those first ever Gemini Jets models and do a video on it. That'd be really cool.
We do have the 767-400 coming out, which is a little bit of a bastard airplane. I mean, there's only 3 operators of that in the world. You have Delta, you have United, and the Arab, the one from is it Bahrain? I even forgot at this point. But there's a Middle East private 767-400 that flies. So we are doing it in both scales. People have been waiting for it. It's a model that, especially in 200 scale, nobody's done it. So it should be a pretty successful hit.
So yeah, the private Brunei 764 is basically announced in this video all the way back on May 11th. But they also kind of indicated they were going to do all 3 operators at the time, which, as we'll get into later in the video, they are going to do the Brunei 76, the Delta, and the United 764s, which I'm very excited about those. I'll probably pick up all of them. So they said they're doing the Brunei 764 in 400 and 200 scale, both exciting to see. While we have seen the 400 scale 764 now, we have not seen the 200 scale one yet, which I'm really excited to see.
We'll have the MAX 737-10 coming out.
That's interesting. They said they will be doing a MAX 10. That's not something we knew before, so that's really exciting to see.
The XLR really is, from a modeling standpoint, looks a lot like, you know, an A321 Neo.
That is true. The XLR is basically a slightly different configuration of the A321 Neo, so they'll make some of them, I'm sorry, but it'll just be the standard A321 Neo mold. So that's what we learned from the new Gemini Jets interview. Some of these things since that video have already come to fruition. We've seen the 764, we've seen the 124. Some of the others, we're excited to see what's going to happen. So that's the nuggets of information we learned from the Gemini Jets interview. Once again, the video will be linked down below if you want to watch the full interview. So, new molds. There are 3 new molds we're going to talk about today. We're going to start with the NG Models 747 Classic. NG Models made a post promising the 747 Classics are coming out. You can see it here, I have it on the screen. And this was about early May, late April, where they were in the controversy of a bunch of Phoenix Models 747 Classics that come out. And there's some people who don't like those molds at all. One of them I've had on the channel a couple times. And a lot of people are waiting for a superior 747 Classic mold to come out. And so NG Models basically pulled a Gemini Jets move where they were like, yes, we are making these. And so basically this was to siphon off sales from the Phoenix releases, which they're making quite a few 747 Classics. And so NG Models like, yes, we are going to make the 747 Classics sometime this summer. So we don't know when that'll be exactly, but we can probably expect to see mold samples within, I'd say, the next 2 months will pop up in either June or July, and then releases showing up in August or September. That's my prediction for when we'll see them. But which Classic will we get? Will we get the 200, the 100, both? I think we'll probably end up seeing the 747 100 and 200 show up. But outside of that, I'm not sure. Next mold. This is going to be a bit of a spoiler for the Gemini Jets releases, but there are 3 new Gemini Jets molds we're going to talk about. Yeah, that's a lot. But here we have the Delta 767-400. This mold has finally appeared. Gemini Jets announced it with their June set, which is really exciting. And the picture for the mold has come out. And it looks pretty decent. Now, for those of you who follow me on some of my social medias, or who I'm in a Discord server with, you'll know that my prediction for a long time has been, ever since they announced this mold, this would be the Harper mold, which Gemini Jets actually owns that mold, and my prediction is they would modify it, update it to have like antennas, SATCOM boxes, newer rolling landing gear, things like that, and they did that. And it does in fact appear to be the Harper mold with modified components, as expected. This does have Wi-Fi boxes, the SATCOM domes. I don't see it on this model, but that's because this is a late 90s 767 for SATCOM domes were a thing. I presume when they do the modern ones, like the United Evo Blue, or the current Delta one, that will have a SATCOM box on it. But you can see there are antennas. It's hard to tell in the picture, but there are antennas. On the top side, looks to be 2 of them. And this does have modified gear. I have 2 Harper 767-400s. These are not the gear from the Harper. These appear to be Gemini Jets landing gear. So they have a bit more detail on the main wheel itself, as well as a little bit chunkier rubber tires. So that appears to be a thing. In addition, this appears to be a 2-piece wing mold. So instead of the old Harper mold was a single seamed mold where the wings straddle across the fuselage, these are slot-in wings. So the wings are 2 separate pieces, and then they slot into the fuselage. And so these do appear to be the 2-piece. That is generally a better mold. In general, it looks better, and it offers for a slightly more realistic look to the model. So that is nice to see. But other than that, the wing does look like the Harper mold, and it has sort of more the chunkiness of the Harper 767. And the front, I'm just looking at the front of the slats there, those look to be identical to the Harper. So this appears to be the Harper mold. Some people have noted the cockpit windows do look to be slightly misplaced. That's the sort of thing you have to deal with Gemini Jets models nowadays, but it looks a bit off in the picture. We'll see how it looks in real life. But overall, I am very excited to finally get a 767-400. It's been a long time since we've seen one. It's been about 10 years since the last one was made. And Gemini Jets actually making these means we'll actually get some 767-400s. Now, how many they'll make, we don't know yet. Of course, Gemini Jets said they are going to make the Royal Brunei 764. So that will be exciting to see that airframe pop up in both 400 and 200 scale, as Gemini Jets said. This is the Delta Ron Allen livery from the late 90s, and I will be picking up this model. I will be getting it in the first wave, so I'm very excited to get this one. It'll be a very neat model. And it'll be an interesting mold. Again, I'll have a full detailed review of the model once I get it. That'll probably come out pretty quickly once I get it because it's a model of great interest. We did see that they are going to do the Interactive Series MD11F in 200 scale. This was one of the ones I talked about in my mold prediction video where I talked about what molds I think would be made in 2023. And this was one of the predictions because there was an image that leaked showing an MD11F with an opening rear cargo door. So that was one of the predictions, and that is coming true. Here we have the MD11F coming. This one appears to not have as much detail or as many opening parts as some of the past opening series molds like the 748, 744, or the 777. So we'll see how this one looks. It doesn't have an opening L1 door either, so this one actually looks to be kind of not as interesting, ironically, as the other ones, but it'll still be a very unique piece for a lot of people's collections. And of course the FedEx will be the first one done. The final new mold is the Antonov 124. This is the new Gemini Jets mold. Again, this would be really popular, just like the 225 was. This one is in the Russian Air Force variant, and it'll be interesting to see if they do a Ukraine Airlines 124, because I will pick that one up. I'm not going to pick up the Russian Air Force one, but the Ukraine Airlines 124 I will pick up if they make that to put alongside my 225. But this model should be quite popular. It should be a good mold. The 225 turned out quite well. I'm excited to do a review on the 225 and tell y'all how amazing that model is. The 225 turned out really well, and I expect the 124 to also turn out really well. It should be a excellent showpiece of the outstanding aircraft. And Gemini Jets is continuing to kill it with their 25th anniversary line of models that they've come out with. So many great new models and great new molds. That brings us on to releases for the month. We're going to start by talking about the Phoenix models releases for May 2023. And there's one model in particular I want to highlight, because usually Phoenix is not a company that I buy too many models from, because most of the molds from Phoenix are outdated and done better by other companies, such as the 747s. The A380 is done better now by Aviation 400. The A350 is the weakest of the A350s. The Phoenix molds that I do still buy are going to be the 777 and the 767. I haven't bought a Phoenix 76, but I've heard they're good. They look good in pictures. I'll probably end up buying one. Their 787 is weak compared to competitors. Their Airbuses are weak. The 737s, they're just old compared to what basically everyone else is doing now. However, there is one new model in here that I'm excited about. This is the Cubana TU-154M. Now you might wonder, why am I interested in this particular release? This one is registered as Charlie Uniform Tango 1256, is the TU-154B2. Now, the reason I'm interested in this is my dad flew on this aircraft from Havana to Mexico City. So I'm going to pick this one up. Of course, finding another release of this is probably going to be almost impossible, so I will be picking up the Phoenix models variant of this aircraft. The 154 mold is pretty good from what I've heard. It looks decent in pictures. Almost as good as the NG variant, so I will be picking up this one for my collection. So NG models May 2023 releases. What do I think? There's some good stuff in here. The Spirit A321neo is going to be one of the highlights for me. For those who don't know, I am flying on the inaugural Spirit A321neo flight, and so this model will be joining my collection for that reason. I am very excited about that model. It does appear to be missing a SATCOM box, so hopefully NG Models puts one on the model. But it looks to be like it'll be a great model. The Ryanair 737-800 will also be one joining my collection. But outside of that, not too much here really exciting for me. I know there's a bunch of really interesting models, and this is a smaller release set for NG to allow their manufacturing to catch up, because they're really behind on a lot of models. So not too much here of interest for me, but it's still cool. The British Airways 777-300ER on the land door livery is pretty cool. I actually like these fictional models because I think they look really cool. Even though this model never existed, and really this model should have the Rolls-Royce engines and not the GE90s, it's still really cool, and I like to see it. They also did a bunch of 200 scale releases, which are really cool. They did the Air Wisconsin Retro CRG 200. I might pick this up because I'm going to try and fly on one of these, but it looks really cool. And the Gulfstream G550 in Gulfstream's house colors, I will be picking that one up because that would be a cool addition to my collection. as well as the Dassault Falcon 7X. I haven't picked up one of these from NG yet, but this private livery here looks so cool. It would be a nice addition to my collection, and my first Dassault Falcon in 1/200 scale. I am trying to grow that private 200 scale collection, so this one will be joining that fleet. That brings us on to the Gemini Jets June releases, and there's quite a few really good models in here. Of course, the Delta 767-400 in 400 scale is the most exciting one in 400 scale, but there are some other good ones in here. Of course, we have the Contour E145. This is a charter airline. They used to have some regularly scheduled services, but now they just do charters. Nice livery, and should be a decent model on a somewhat mediocre mold. The Atlas Air 767-300 is also a model of interest. Should be a nice model, will probably be quite popular. And there's another reason why I might be interested in the Atlas Air 767 that I won't talk about at this time. The Trump 727, also really cool in 1 to 400 scale. Other than that, the rest of the models are kind of, I can take them or leave them. 200 scale, of course, we get the Antonov 124. That's the first release there of the 124 and 200 scale. And then, of course, we're also getting the FedEx MD-11 with the opening cargo doors. That one should be quite exciting. Interested to see what that one looks like. The Republic 175 also shows up here, which is really cool. As well as we see Tennessee 1 from Gemini 200. That will be a quite popular model. You can get in flaps up or flaps down variants. And then, of course, the Trump 752, a model I will be picking up, and one that I'm pretty sure will be selling out pretty quickly. So if you want it, you should probably rush out and get it as soon as possible. So that is basically it for this video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm actually recording this on Memorial Day, so happy Memorial Day to you all. And do be sure to honor a veteran that you know in your life today. So have a great rest of your day, and God bless you.